Welcome to Canine Code's puppy class number 2. Today I'll be starting by teaching you how to teach your puppy to drop. For those of you with big or very energetic dogs, it will be super helpful that your dog has a very reliable drop command because it settles down your dog much better than sit. You could argue that sit is almost like launching a rocket, whereas drop is actually a signal for the dog to calm down. For those of you with small dogs where it doesn't seem as if you have any need for drop, I still would like you to really put some practice into this because it's a very good exercise teaching you how to have good dog handling. So in this case, you can treat it as your training more than your dog's. I'm going to break down the exercise in 3 steps because drop isn't actually a very easy command as such. The first method that I'm going to use is almost foolproof. Not very practical, but still hang in there because it will pay off when we move to the next step. Start by sitting on the floor with as much space between your feet as your flexibility will allow you. Put your hand under your leg, holding onto the treat and putting it on your dog's nose. If you have your dog on leash, just let go of the leash for now so that you're not inadvertently trying to force her. It's really important when we train commands that your dogs get to make a free and conscious choice of what to do. Now I lower my leg just enough that when I slide my hand along the ground and Pirate follows my hand, she will be forced to lie down in order to follow the treat. When she lies down, I say drop. I hold my hand still on the ground while I'm letting her nibble off a bit of treat. And then in the end, I'll go free to indicate that the exercise is now over and she's free to get back up. One more time. I'll put her on the outside. Put my hand on the ground. It's really important that you keep your hand low. I'll slide it under my leg. I say drop. When she drops, I lift the leg so that there's no longer anything forcing her to stay down. Keep your hand still here. I release the treat and I go free. Free. In principle, your dog doesn't have to move out of the position when you've said free. It is just to indicate that they are now free to do whatever they want. But in the beginning, I like to encourage them to move so that they start understanding the word. Once your dog lies down very easily by the method of leading them under your leg, it's time to move on to the next step. In this step, I hold the treat at natural nose height with a nice calm and steady hand, but then I gently bring it up towards her nose tip, and when she has leant back her head, I push it into her mouth towards her back feet, which you'll see brings the puppy's bum down to the ground. Then I push the treat into her bottom lip, slightly towards the chest, very slowly, and down between her front paws. Say drop as she drops, and release a little treat, holding your hand absolutely dead still. Again, make sure it doesn't slide and that it's right down on the ground, and then go free to stop the exercise. Once again, bring the treat out, hold it at natural nose height, not up here where they're going to jump for it. So just natural nose height. Always good to bring your dog in close before you start giving the command. Because if you're already in this position when you start, then you're going to struggle later on in the exercise. So bring them in, lean the head back, push slightly into the mouth until the bum goes down. And if the bum doesn't go down easily, it's okay to put a hand here behind them. Don't push as such, just as if they were backing up against the wall. You can also use a wall. Now bringing it into her bottom lip, say drop, release the treat, and hold your hand still. until you say free. Free. Make sure when you say free that you use a free intonation in your voice. If you just sort of go drop, good girl, free, then your puppy can't read what the difference between the words. So you need to sound differently. Did you all notice that little scratch? Just like with Bowie, she's scratching when she's impatient, frustrated, or uncertain. At the moment, I think she's frustrated, impatient, and uncertain about how to get the next treat. Once your puppy lies down very easily as Pirate does it now, free, where she almost slides down into the drop without any hesitation, free, then it's time to move on to the third step. For this one, I'm going to stand up. I'll just show her that I've got more treat, and then I stand up. Pirate knows that I have more treat and she's eager to get it. So all I'm going to do is stand here and look at her like I'm expecting something. She might jump, she might bark, but eventually she'll think of her new trick, which is to lie down. Right. That's not what we're going to do. I'm not going to tell her off because it's okay to experiment with what kind of behaviors might give a treat. I'm just going to wait until I get the one I want. So just be very patient and look at her with sort of expecting eyes, as if she stopped the game. Yeah, what you going to do? Try not to overly instruct your dog here. Let them just have a think for themselves. Sometimes if you're instructing them, it's actually more a distraction, stopping their thought process on how to figuring it out by themselves. Again, the more time you allow your puppy to think it out, the more they've used their own brain and the more they've learned from this moment. I make sure that my treat is very visible and that I look as if I'm still waiting for her to do something. What can you do? When she lies down, I'll bend down very quickly and give her a treat for it while I say drop. I'll do it so quickly that she doesn't have time to jump out of the drop. Drop! So I give her a treat and free! If at all I was too slow and she got a chance to get out of drop before I got down there with my treat, then I'll simply just lead her back into the drop and still reward her. What can you do? Should we get a bigger treat so you can see it? Here we go, that's a big one. Do you want it? What can you do for me? What can you do? Drop! And I give the treat, holding my hand still on the ground, and free! Free! Nice try, little lady. Each time she works it out, you'll find drop that she'll offer it quicker and quicker and quicker. Free! The first time, it can easily take 20 minutes before they offer the drop. The more you've practiced step 1 and step 2, so leading them under the leg or leading them down with the treat, the quicker they'll think of offering it when you stand up. Every time she does offer the drop, now drop, I'll make that gesture with my hand, like that, to install a signal, an association with a signal. Free! And that will eventually become my sign language command. Do you want to do it again? Drop. Free! Now in this case, Pirate started getting out of the drop before I had freed her. So I quickly just freed her anyway, in that way making sure that I haven't broken the routine that I will say drop while she gets up, or she will get up while I say drop. Doesn't really matter which way it happens in the beginning, I'm just forming a habit. Once your dog starts offering the drop, give her a treat for it the first 30 times. Every time. If you don't have a treat on you when she does it, still do the signal, drop, and just praise her as a reward, or maybe offer a belly rub or some play, whatever your dog enjoys. Free! Do that about 30 times whenever you see your dog drop. Drop. As you're going through your 30 times, you'll be able to start predicting when your puppy is about to lie down. When you can start predicting that, then free, free. Give your sign a little earlier, drop each time, so that it's starting to become a command. Free. As soon as I now think that she's going to lie down, and I'm certain that it's happening, I'll give the signal drop. Good. After 30 times, you'll have that down packed. At that point, free! Free! Your puppy will be offering drop over and over and over and over again. So you're now going to start drop to only reward them when you told them to do it. So again, after 30 times where you rewarded every single time they offered a drop, you are going to raise the criteria and only reward them when you told them to drop. Free! Free! That would look like this. It would look like this once you start taking control of the command. Pirate, drop. So now I'm starting to say the command just before she lies down. And eventually you'll be able to say it when she wasn't even thinking of dropping yet. But at that point, it has become a command and she'll follow it. Now, there's no point in teaching drop unless you also teach them how to stay in the command, regardless of whether you're moving around or standing still. So in order to get Pirate to stay where she is in the drop, even if I move around, I have to build up the temptation to get up gradually. So I'm going to move her to a place where I want her to drop. I'm going to give her a little treat for that, nice and low to the floor. Stand up straight. Just do a little bit of disco feet on the spot. Don't move away from her, just on the spot. Once I can do disco feet, I'll add disco hips. Again, bring down your hand nice and quick to her mouth. When she looks up, you can do a little stop hand. Don't reach out, because that will tempt her to get up. Just keep your hand up in your own space. Now I'm adding a little bit of swinging arms. I'm still staying on the spot as I give her a treat. Stop hand. Arms over the head. Just build it up slowly. Don't do too much difference between each repeat of the exercise. A little stop hand. I'm going to do a pirouette this time. Wasn't really a pirouette, but works all the same. And a stop signal and free! Good girl! Good girl! So now I've trained Pirate to stay in one spot while I'm dancing disco, doing all sorts of movement on the spot. She still knows to stay in her drop command. Now I want Pirate to stay in her drop command even as I walk away. I'll just say drop. I know she's lying down already, that's okay. I just want to make sure she knows she's in command. And I'm just going to take one small step away, step forward, stand up straight as you walk back to her, and bend straight down to her mouth. As she looks up, I'll give another little affirmative signal. And don't be like this, because that kind of sucks her towards you. Instead, Boom. Put your eyes on like you don't want her to come with you. Boom. Now I'm going to take 2 steps away. Stand up straight as you go back. Bend straight over and give her a treat near the ground. Stay signal. 3 steps away. When you go towards your puppy to give them a treat, are you cheating? And because Pirate has worked out this little trick of continuing to lie down yet get closer to me, I'm not going to rush practicing walking away from her. What are you doing? Just yet. I would stay in nice and close range, drop, until she has really worked out to just stay on the spot while I dance disco right here next to her. You're cheeky. I'm sure that some of you have some beautiful patterns of bite marks up your hands and arms by now. It's natural for puppies to play bite as part of their training and growing up. And so I don't necessarily stop it entirely, but of course it's my responsibility to teach my puppy bite inhibition, ACA, showing them when it hurts and when it's too much and they need to stop. So my threshold is just when it hurts, then I show her an aversive consequence of continuing play biting me with so much gusto. You probably all know the 3 most common ways of dealing with play biting. One of them would be to simply offer her a toy in replacement of my hand. That's an absolutely valid method, and I want you to use that as your default strategy, especially for just calm and sweet play biting without really going into and becoming really intent on winning the game. Another strategy, of course, is time out, where if your puppy is wanting to play really rough and refusing to leave you alone, then you simply put them down from your lap, or it could even be outside your house or in their pen until they've calmed down and accepted that that's not how you want to play just now. A third common method is just to let your dog know that the bite is too hard by giving a little startling squeal. And then relax. Try to startle when you do it and stay stiff for a moment just to indicate, whoop, something had to stop here and now I'm ready to go again. Can you see how the startle tells Pirate when it's too hard and when I need to stop? Remember to startle so that everything stops and stays still for a moment. Good. If your puppy is just too energetic and wanting to play rough and you want to calm them down quickly, one of my favorite methods is to lay them down across my lap and then I lean over them, holding them tight between my torso and my arms, and if they struggle, I simply just stick to it until they surrender into my grip, and then I can get up again. Don't be afraid to stay in that position for quite some time so that your puppy's adrenaline might actually drop and there's a better chance that they'll be calm when you sit back up. Be vigilant about only sitting up when your puppy is not struggling so that you're not rewarding their struggle with freedom. One more quick demonstration of that. So I lay her down across my lap. Sit down, just with a nice heavy torso. Don't be all tense up, just relax. Take a deep breath. Wait till she's calm. Okay, and then we're free again. If you have young children in the house, or perhaps elderly parents that are hard to instruct, then there are a few other tricks you can use. One of them is to rub something with an aversive flavor on your hands and arms. I generally just use fresh lemon, but it can also be Vicks Vapor or Denka Rub or tea tree oil, but of course make sure that it's something that your skin can handle, and also if you're putting it on children, that you're not putting something on their arm that next minute is being rubbed into their own eyes and there'll be tears all around. If it's not enough in itself to just rub lemon juice on hands and arms, and you feel like you need something a little more tough, then first do rub on the lemon juice, but keep to yourself half a slice of lemon. Sit down with the slice handy, and if of course this has anything to do with children, sit right next to your children. And then when your puppy bites hard, then you're going to stuff this lemon into their mouth and very quickly just close your puppy's mouth around the lemon and immediately remove it again. Don't hold it in there, it's just an in, close, out. And then it's very important that you don't let anyone in the room laugh, including yourself or the children. Laughing would send the signal to your puppy that you just upped the game with a new level, and they would start engaging in it as if it was a game that they had to play even harder. Instead, keep it silent and even if your dog is going like that, just give them a moment to process what happened and to derive that this was not actually pleasant and it happened as a consequence of biting you too hard. Last but not least, here's my strategy, and I use it both for attention-seeking licking and also for play biting. When the puppy is either play biting or licking, instead of taking my hand away, I actually go the other way. I just push it into their mouth, creating not the consequence that they expected from their behavior, and in fact an aversive consequence. You can see now she's thinking twice before opening her mouth to my hand. If you find it's not enough to just push your hand into your dog's mouth and you have puncture marks up your arms and feel the need to give a stronger aversive consequence to your puppy's biting, then point your finger, or use 2 fingers for larger puppies, but crossing them over like so. And just as your puppy bites hard, then quickly push your fingers down their throat, right to the point where they get slimy up to the first digit, and immediately pull them back out. Don't hold them down there and suffocate your puppy, of course not. Just in and out, and your puppy will go. Don't laugh. Give them a moment to go, uh-oh, that didn't feel good. I'm going to be careful about biting anyone's arm like that again. This is a stronger method, and I only use it for puppies where I find that it's justified, simply because their hard play biting is putting people at risk. Some of you will be experiencing that your puppy is attacking your feet and perhaps your shoelaces or your pants. Firstly, of course, make sure that you are not unnecessarily tempting your puppy. So tie up your shoelaces, perhaps put away the Ugg boots for a month or 2, and you may even need to reconsider using knee-length skirts, morning robes and pajama pants around your puppy. Of course, we want to train your puppy to have good behavior, but sometimes it's just not worth flagging a red flag in front of your puppy, like a bull. Good, so I've tied up my shoelaces. And if at all my puppy is chasing after me, going at my feet, the easiest way to deal with it is simply by ruining their game, creating a different consequence from what they expected. So if at all they're attacking my feet, I just, not too harshly, but I just tap on their front toes, just enough that they're going, whoa, that's not something I like, not what I wanted to achieve from playing, and they'll think hard about doing it again. Remember never to laugh after a correction. So tapping on their feet is one of the easiest way to deal with it. If they're also jumping up at me, I can lift up my leg to discourage them from jumping up. And if your dog is a more sort of sturdy type and perhaps jumping up and leaning on your legs heavily, then I might even bring my knee up and give them a little bit of a bump in the chest, again, just to create an aversive consequence of their behavior. They know that they're being cheeky by invading your personal space and being boisterous with you, and it is important that you set limits. A more gentle way of dealing with it is to simply walk in to your puppy's personal space. So if Pirate won't leave me alone, whether she's just being clingy or whether she's being provocative and playful, I can shuffle my feet without lifting them straight into her, walking right into her face, right until she starts running away from me. If she runs in circles, that's okay. I'll just keep circling after her. Eventually, she will run onto her bed or onto a piece of furniture in order to get away from me. At that point, I just carry on as I was before. Next time she follows me in the same way, I'll do exactly the same thing and shuffle towards her. I shuffle so that I don't lift my feet and step on her. And she'll know how to stop that unpleasant game by running off and hiding under a piece of furniture or in her bed. That way I have ruined her little bully game. If you have a dog that tends to lick your face, blow them hard on the face just as they go to blow. And look at them with eyes like, this was a correction. Yeah. Right now he's scared because he doesn't know why it happens. But when he works out that it only happens when he tries to lick my face, then he'll be able to sit comfortably in my arms, knowing that he won't get blown in the face as long as he stays away from my face. Sutton. Yeah, I know. You didn't expect that, did you? Dogs don't like you blowing at them because they don't understand how we can blow air out of our mouth. They can't, so for them it seems magical, as if they could see that we didn't touch them and yet it felt like we did. Hey? I know, you're not going to lick me now, are you? Yeah. In the time between 8 and 14 weeks, your puppy is going through what's called its critical period of development. It's very similar to a child's early development. During this time, they learn things very, very fast, and they also retain the information perhaps even for life. They retain it much better than what they learn later in life, and they'll also be better at generalizing, meaning using the lesson that they've learned in different situations and environments. During this time, it is super important that your puppy learns the two things that we need to train against their instinct. The first one being alone, and the other one being kind to strangers. It isn't natural for dogs to socialize with complete strangers. In nature, they would have a territory, and if any stranger dogs intruded on that territory, it would be their job to chase them away. You, as a pet dog owner, don't want your dog to develop that instinct. You want them to be friendly with other dogs when you pass them on the street, or if you wish to go to the dog park, which I'm a big advocate for, then you certainly need to socialize your puppy as early as possible. Naturally, in our face-to-face classes, we help you socialize your puppy even before they're fully vaccinated. If you are watching this and not going to any puppy classes as such, then you will need to ask friends and family if they have any healthy, vaccinated and social dogs that could potentially have a play session with your puppy. The more they socialize at this young age, the better their social skills will be when they're older. It's not only dogs that they have to get used to being friendly with, it's actually also people. And almost without exception, dogs tend to be more afraid of men than anyone else. Basically, men have a unique position in dogs' eyes where if the dog trusts the man, they typically attribute the man with authority. If the dog doesn't trust the man, they attribute them with danger. If you don't want your dog to be scared of men, especially men coming into your house, then now is the time to show your puppy that it is perfectly normal that men walk into your house or that you stop and say hello to men on the street. So if you were ever looking for the excuse to stop tall, dark, handsome men on the street, strike up conversation, and perhaps even invite them home, now's your chance. As well as socializing your puppy with men, you will also want to make sure that they are used to being around children. Not so much because they'll be scared of children as that they could be disturbed by the erratic movements and the erratic noises. This is particularly true for schnauzers and little terriers that as they grow older also tend to become more highly strung. It's worth desensitizing your dogs to any sounds that might be loud, abrupt, or unusual. It could be thunder, could be Formula One, airplanes, flapping fabric in the wind like kite surfers. It could be clapping and cheering and screaming. It could be parties. It could be trains and trams or any other sound that seems like it might occur in your daily lifestyle. Of course, if you're training a hunting dog, you'll have to get them desensitized to gunshots as well. One little trick I particularly enjoy is to get your puppy used to the sound of dogs barking in the neighborhood, because that in the future will save you from a lot of pain every time a dog does bark in the neighborhood and your dog thinking it's something they have to bark back at. If they get used to it now, they'll just take it for granted that that's how the world works. If you have a border collie, I'd like you to pay particular attention to the sound that you hear at zebra crossings from the little machine going doot 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 doot. For some reason, that particular sound tends to really antagonize the working dogs, such as heelers, kelpies, but particularly border collies. And it's well worth recording the sound now, bringing it home and playing it for your puppy. I have made a soundtrack. It's on YouTube called Canine Code Puppy Habituation Sounds, where all the sounds just mentioned are recorded and there are instructions to follow on the clip. As well as sounds, you want to introduce your puppy to many different surfaces. Slippery surfaces, shiny surfaces, ledges and edges, or gaps, such as gaps between steps on stairs, but certainly also gaps on, it could be a bridge going across a river or anywhere else that might apply to your environment. Even slanting surfaces can be a challenge for some dogs. If you don't want your dog to start going upstairs, at least just yet, then don't habituate them to your stairs at this point. If you do want your dog to go up the stairs, then don't start at the top and expect your puppy to do the whole row of stairs in one go. Instead, start at the bottom and sit on step 1 or 2 and just get your puppy up and down until it's so comfortable that you can move up to step 3 and 4 and so forth. Of course, bear in mind that at this age, young puppies shouldn't walk up and down the stairs many times in one day. It's good to protect their joints from that kind of strain. As well as sounds and surfaces, we want to get your dog used to movements. So that would mainly be skateboards and nana trolleys and wheelie bins and bicycles and joggers, anything that moves fast along the ground. Again, if you have a border collie, also good to get them used to cars, driving past them as early as possible. Many border collies develop an urge to chase cars and bite the tires. The sooner you can get them used to cars and indifferent to them, the better chance you have of avoiding that little game. Other movements could be bouncing balls, the erratic movements of children, of course, hands waving over your head, or any machinery you can think of. For example, if you have an oodle, you might want to get them used to a blow dryer approaching their body and waving it around their body, or even just brushing and combing and clipping and snipping and a clipper buzzing around them. So that's both movement and sound. Later on in this program, I am going to show you how to train your dog to stay in and out of an area and on their bed. You'll be able to use that command when you're using your vacuum cleaner or your mop. But for now, I actually want your dog to get used to them. So just put them out in the middle of the floor and let your dog approach in its own time. Once your puppy is comfortable with the vacuum cleaner, then you can switch it on and your puppy will get used to the sound, and then once it's used to the sound, then you might even start moving it around. In that way, your puppy will get used to the vacuum cleaner's sound and movement all within the same session. It's really important not to overlook this work, because later on in life, if your dog hasn't learned to deal with something new, then it will be very affronted by anything like thunder or a new person coming into the room or just general circumstances changing in its life. The more you can teach them at this age how to deal with something unknown, the more confident, happy and healthy they'll be in the future. Many puppies develop annoying little games when it's time to put them on leash. One of them, of course, could be to bark at you to hurry up, in which case you're absolutely not going to hurry up. The other one could be that they're chewing and biting on the leash while you're trying to put it on. So while you're trying to put it on their collar, they're biting at your hands and tearing at the leash. Don't play along with that little game. Instead, just swing them around, pop them in between your legs, put your heels together and hold them around the waist. You can use 2 hands to assist you. And in this way, you've got 2 hands free to get that leash in place without any puppy palaver. Now, a lot of your puppies will also be chewing on the leash and playing with it, playing tug of war. That's also super annoying, so we're going to switch that little habit off in a flash. I've just got a bit of Denka Rub here. You can use Vicks Vapor, Tiger Balm, fresh lemon juice, tea tree oil. All of them officially toxic to puppies, but the idea isn't that they're going to digest it. The idea is that as soon as you put it on their leash, they're going to stay right away from opening their mouth on it. Ooh, you can see here, he doesn't like it at all. And we'll just put a little bit on higher up. Hoppa. So then, that's it. There'll be no more chewing on this leash. This concludes class number 2. Thank you for joining us today, and good on you for completing your work. I hope you have fun doing your homework before you start the next session. In the next session, I'll be talking about how to take your dog out to the dog park and let it socialize with stranger dogs. If your puppy is not fully vaccinated yet, then go straight on to session 4 and then return to session 3 when your puppy is ready to go into public.